Hey guys, tonight we are not going to be building a cathedral or sailing the high seas. Instead, we're going to take a much quieter, more solitary path into the past, to a job that wasn't really a job at all, but a death sentence. We're traveling back to a time of profound fear, when the line between human and beast, neighbor and monster, was perilously thin. Imagine your world is a small circle of light cast by a village fire, and everything beyond it is an endless, dark forest, full of things that have teeth. You live in this world, at the very edge of that circle of light. Your home is a small, smoky hut nestled against the gnarled roots of the great forest. Your trade is timber, or maybe charcoal. You spend your days in the dappled green twilight under the canopy. Your only companions the birds and the rustle of unseen creatures. At night, you return to the village of Peshbach, a place whose name translates to Pitch Creek, which tells you everything you need to know about its charm. The streets are little more than troughs of mud and filth, squeezed between leaning, timber-framed houses that seem to groan under the weight of their own tiled roofs. The air is thick with the smell of wood smoke, pigsties, and a deep, damp chill that even the summer sun can't quite burn away. Honestly, with the complete lack of basic sanitation, the constant threat of plague, and the diet of mostly brown bread and weak beer, you probably wouldn't survive this for a week. Never mind the werewolves. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Comment your city and local time. I love seeing where you're all listening from as the world turns. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The year is 1589, and the air in the Holy Roman Empire is crackling with anxiety. Martin Luther's ideas have torn the faith of your fathers in two, and the conflict has left people suspicious, hard-hearted, and looking for evil in every shadow. And you, well, you have always been shadowed. You were born with one eye the color of the summer sky, and the other the color of moss, a trivial genetic quirk that in this place marks you as uncanny. You are what some of the old women mutter about, an Augenbisser, an eye-biter. They believe your mismatched gaze can curdle milk in the churn, lame a horse, or strike a child with fever. You've learned to keep your eyes downcast when you trade your charcoal for flour and salt, to speak little, to make yourself small. It doesn't work. Your quietness is seen as cunning, your solitude as a sign of a secret, wicked life. Today, you are returning from the forest later than usual. A great oak, struck by lightning, had fallen across your usual path, and you spent hours chopping a way through. As you emerge from the tree line, the last light of day bleeds across the sky in bruised purples and reds. The village is unnervingly quiet, but then you see it. A crowd is gathered in the market square, their faces pale and taut in the torchlight. You see the village cooper, a burly man named Klaus, on his knees in the mud, his body racked with sobs. His wife is being held up by two other women, her face a mask of silent, vacant horror. You pause, your hand tightening on the handle of your axe. You know better than to approach a scene like this. As an outsider, your presence at a moment of communal grief would be an intrusion, an offense. You try to slip past, to melt into the shadows and take the long way to your hut. But then a voice rings out, sharp and accusatory. There he is! Every head turns, every pair of eyes fixes on you. It is the cooper's brother, a man who once accused you of blighting his prize-winning pig with a sour look. He points a trembling finger. He comes now from the woods, as my brother's boy is lost to them. The air goes still. The missing piece of the puzzle clicks into place. A child is gone. Little Dieter, a small boy of 6 with a bright, fearless laugh. The crowd parts, and the Cooper, Klaus, lifts his head. His eyes, red-rimmed and full of a father's bottomless grief, find yours. And in them, you see no reason, no question, only a horrifying, immediate certainty. He needs someone to blame, and you have always been the most convenient vessel for this village's fear. My son, Klaus chokes out, stumbling to his feet. Where is my son, you devil? The murmurs start, a low hum that grows into a menacing wave of sound. He was in the woods all day. I saw him near the creek where Dieter was playing. His eyes, look at his wicked eyes. One woman, her face pinched with righteous fear, steps forward. I saw him, she says, her voice rising to a shriek. I saw him anointing his hands with a foul grease this morning before he left. A wolf's unguent it must have been. You know what she is talking about. It was lard mixed with beeswax to protect your hands from blisters and splinters. But in this moment, her words transform a mundane act into a diabolical ritual. The idea of a pact with the devil was not some fringe theory. It was a core component of the era's understanding of evil. Learned men wrote that to become a beast, a man must first reject God and pledge himself to Satan, who would in turn provide a tool for the transformation, often a salve or a belt made from the skin of a wolf. And now, this villager has just painted you as a loyal servant of Lucifer. The crowd surges, their grief and terror coalescing into a single sharp point of hatred aimed directly at you. The constable, a man you've known your whole life, pushes through the throng. He won't meet your gaze. His face is grim. In the name of the Duke, he says, his voice flat, you are under arrest. The word he doesn't say, the one that hangs in the air, thick and foul as smoke, is werewolf. The constable's words suck the air from your lungs. The roar of the crowd becomes a dull, distant ringing in your ears. 2 stout villagers, their faces grimly resolved, grab your arms. Their grip is like iron. One of them wrenches the wood axe from your hand, the tool of your trade, and casts it to the ground as if it were a venomous snake. You are now defenseless, a lamb surrounded by a pack of wolves who believe you are the true predator. They shove you forward, and the short walk to the village lockup begins. It might only be 100 paces, but it feels like a journey to the gallows. The crowd, which had parted for the constable, now closes in behind you, a wave of human misery and rage. They follow you, their torches casting dancing, monstrous shadows on the walls of the half-timbered houses. The smell of pitch and their unwashed bodies is suffocating. A woman you've known since you were a child, who once gave you a stale crust of bread when you were hungry, now screams that you are a beast from hell. A stone, sharp and small, strikes you between the shoulder blades. It doesn't hurt as much as the betrayal does. You remember the warnings from your youth, the whispers about your mismatched eyes, and you force yourself to stare at the churned mud at your feet. Looking up now would be seen as a curse, a final act of defiance from a cornered monster. You feel their fear, their need for a simple answer to an unbearable pain, and you understand with dreadful clarity that you are that answer. The lockup is not a grand prison, but a small windowless room in the cellar of the bailiff's house. It's known as the Fool's Hole. The door is a slab of oak reinforced with iron bands, and it groans open to reveal a space of absolute blackness. You are pushed inside, and you stumble down a single stone step onto a floor of damp, musty straw. The door slams shut behind you, the heavy bar thudding into place, and you are plunged into a darkness so complete it feels solid. The sounds of the angry village are snuffed out, replaced by a profound silence broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water somewhere in the oppressive black. The cold from the stone walls seeps into your bones. You are alone with the scuttling of unseen things and the suffocating weight of an accusation you cannot comprehend. Hours pass. Or maybe it's only minutes. Time has no meaning in the dark. You sit in the foul straw, your mind racing. Little Dieter. You picture his face, his cheerful wave when he'd see you on the path. You didn't even see him today. How could they think? But reason has fled from Petschbach. It has been replaced by something older and more powerful. Suddenly, a key scrapes in the lock. The door creaks open, spilling a rectangle of flickering yellow light into your cell. A figure stands silhouetted in the doorway. It is not the constable, but Herr Schmidt, the local magistrate. He's a man of middling years, dressed in a sober black doublet, his face clean-shaven and framed by a small, starched ruff. He is an educated man, a man of law and letters, which somehow makes him more terrifying than the mob. He carries an oil lamp that casts long, trembling shadows, and he steps inside, his expression one of weary diligence, like a clerk about to undertake a tedious but necessary piece of accounting. "Stand," he says, his voice calm and devoid of emotion. You rise, your legs stiff. He places the lamp on a small wooden stool, the room's only furnishing, and looks at you, his eyes analytical, cold. "Let us not waste time with foolish denials," he begins, his tone almost paternal. "God, in his wisdom, has chosen to reveal a great evil in our midst. The matter of the boy Dieter is a terrible wound upon this community. But it is merely the symptom, not the disease." He pauses, letting the words sink in. The true crime, the corpus delicti that we must bring to light, is not a missing child. It is a corrupted soul. It is the pact you have made with the great deceiver. Here it is, the horrifying, inverted logic of their justice. They do not need to find the boy's body. They do not need any physical proof that you harmed him. The crime they are prosecuting is the state of your soul. Your confession is the only evidence they require, because the confession itself is the proof of the crime. You open your mouth to protest, to say this is madness, but he raises a hand. I know what you will say. You will claim innocence. It is expected. The devil is a great liar, and he lends his cunning to his servants. But the flesh does not lie. He leans in slightly, the lamplight carving deep shadows into his face. We have ways of finding the devil's mark. A spot, you see, where your dark master has touched you, has sealed your bargain by kissing your flesh and leaving it dead. A patch of skin, no bigger than a coin, that does not bleed and feels no pain. He gestures vaguely toward the door. We can send for a specialist from Cologne, a pricker. He is very skilled. He has a set of long, slender bodkins, and he is exceptionally patient. He will search your body inch by inch for the spot that does not feel. It can be hidden anywhere, under the tongue, within the nostril, in the most private of places. Sometimes it takes hundreds of pricks of the needle to find it, but he always finds it. He picks up his lamp, his work for the night seemingly done. The threat has been delivered with surgical precision. It's not a promise of chaotic violence from a mob, but of cold, methodical, bureaucratic pain. Think on that, he says from the doorway. Consider if it would not be easier for both your body and your soul to confess your sins freely. The door shuts, the bar falls, and you are back in the suffocating darkness. But this time, it is filled with the phantom sting of 1,000 needles. You don't sleep. How could you? Every time you drift toward the edge of consciousness, the image of a long steel pin sliding into your skin jolts you back to terrified awareness. You try to reason, to clutch at the mundane reality you knew just yesterday. It was lard, not a demonic salve. Your eyes are just eyes. You were clearing a fallen tree. These simple truths feel flimsy, like cobwebs against a storm. The darkness in the cell is a physical presence, and it whispers the magistrate's words back to you. He always finds it. A sliver of gray light eventually appears under the heavy oak door, signaling a new day, but it brings no comfort. The sounds of the village begin again, a distant cock crowing, the rumble of a cart's wheels on the cobblestones. It sounds like a world away, a world you are no longer part of. When the key finally turns in the lock, you flinch, expecting the pricker. But it is Herr Schmidt again. This time, he is accompanied by a pale, thin young man clutching a portable writing desk, an ink pot, and a stack of fresh parchment. A scribe. The magistrate ignores you, directing the clerk to set up the stool for his desk. The room fills with the small, fussy sounds of his preparation, the scratching of a pen being trimmed, the rustle of paper. This bureaucratic theater is somehow more chilling than any overt threat. Schmidt doesn't intend to speak with you, not yet. He intends to build a wall of words, a fortress of official testimony, and he wants you to watch. We have been busy, the magistrate says to the room, not to you. The good people of Petschbach have been searching their memories. It is amazing what the light of truth reveals. He picks up a sheet of parchment. Deposition of Gunther, the farmer. He states that on the feast of St. John, you passed by his northern pasture. He remembers you stopped and looked at his prize cow, Bella. He says your gaze lingered. The next morning, Bella's milk was sour, and by evening her udders were dry. He had to sell her for meat, a loss of 12 thalers. You remember that day. You remember the cow, a fine-looking animal, and you remember nodding to Gunther as he mended his fence. That's all. A passing glance on a summer's day. Now it has been entered into the official record as an act of malicious sorcery, proof of your evil eye. The scribe's quill scratches away, recording the magistrate's summary. Your life is being unwritten and then rewritten as a chronicle of petty evils. Schmidt sets the first parchment aside and picks up another. Deposition of Franz, brother of the bereaved Klaus. He recounts an encounter in the forest, no more than a fortnight ago. He was checking his snares when he felt he was being watched. He turned to see a wolf of unnatural size, with fur as black as night and, he says, eyes that burned with mismatched colors, one of sky, one of moss. He swears it was you, in your beastly form. He raised his hand axe to defend himself, but the wolf only sneered at him, he claims, and the axe head would not strike it, turning aside as if it struck the very gates of hell. The creature then faded into the shadows, leaving him trembling with a cold that was not of the weather. This is a lie woven from a thread of truth. You did see Franz in the woods that day. You were a good distance away, and you merely turned and walked in another direction to avoid his sour company. There was no giant wolf, no supernatural defiance of steel. But the detail about the axe is clever. It plays on the well-known folklore that a werewolf, a creature bound to Satan, cannot be harmed by common iron or steel. Only silver, or perhaps a blade blessed by a priest, could ever hope to draw its cursed blood. Franz has not just accused you of being a wolf, he has accused you of being one of the invincible, diabolical kind. The magistrate seems to save the most potent testimony for last. He handles the next sheet with a certain reverence. "And now," he says, his voice dropping, "the testimony of the widow Elsbeth, a woman of unimpeachable piety. She swears under holy oath that on the night the boy Dieter vanished, she was awoken by a great terror. She could not move, and she saw a shape in her bedchamber." He pauses for effect, his eyes flicking to you for the first time. "It was your shape," she says, "not of solid flesh, but woven from smoke and shadow, a spectral image. And this phantom of you leaned close and whispered in her ear. It said, 'The flock is fat, but the shepherd is blind. I will take the sweetest lamb to feast with my master below.' Then it vanished. A cold dread, deeper than anything you have felt before, washes over you. Spectral evidence, a ghost story, a nightmare given the weight of legal fact. How can you defend yourself against what a woman claims your spirit did while your body was asleep in its bed? There is no alibi for the travels of your own soul. In the eyes of this court, her dream is your confession." Herr Schmidt finishes. He neatly stacks the parchments. The scribe blows on the fresh ink to dry it. The case against you, a tapestry of sour milk, a phantom wolf, and a spectral whisper, is now officially documented. "The testimony of your neighbors is quite damning," the magistrate says, his voice betraying a sliver of satisfaction. "But it is circumstantial. To secure a righteous conviction, the law desires a confession, and for such matters, there are men with more specific learning than I." He turns to leave. An inquisitor from the bishop's court in Cologne has been summoned. He is a man of great experience with stubborn souls. He will be here in 2 days. The door closes. The bar slams home. You are left in the dark with the ghosts of your neighbors' words, their fictions now more real than your own memory. And an expert is on his way. The next 2 days are an eternity of damp, silent dread. You mark the passage of time by the sliver of light under the door, turning from gray to pale yellow and back to nothing. Twice a day, a small wooden slot in the door opens, and a bowl of thin, watery gruel and a chunk of black bread are pushed through. It's just enough to keep the life in your body, to keep you ready for the man who is coming. The village outside seems to be holding its breath. The usual sounds of life are muted, as if the entire community is waiting with you. You find yourself straining to hear footsteps, listening for the arrival of the expert who will dismantle your soul. You are no longer just a man accused of a crime. You are a specimen, a curiosity of evil waiting for the dissector. On the morning of the 3rd day, the sound you've been dreading arrives. Not the heavy tread of the constable, but the soft, measured steps of someone accustomed to walking on hallowed ground. The key turns, the bar is lifted, and the door swings wide. 2 men stand there. One is a nervous-looking acolyte holding a lamp. The other is the man you know, instinctively, is the inquisitor. He is nothing like Herr Schmidt. Where the magistrate was a bureaucrat, this man is a flame. He is tall and unnaturally thin, his body seemingly consumed by the fervor of his spirit. He wears the stark black and white robes of a Dominican friar, and his face is all sharp angles and pale, taut skin. But it's his eyes that seize you. They are dark, intelligent, and burn with an unshakable certainty. He looks at you not as a man, but as a problem of theology to be solved. He doesn't carry a weapon or a tool of pain. He carries only a single large book bound in dark, cracked leather, held shut by a heavy iron clasp. He glides into the cell, his presence seeming to shrink the already small space. Herr Schmidt, who had followed him to the door, begins to speak. But the Inquisitor silences him with a flick of his wrist, a gesture of absolute authority. The magistrate bows his head slightly and retreats, leaving you alone with the friar and his silent acolyte. "I am Brother Heinrich," the man says, his voice a dry rustle, like old parchment. "I have been sent to assist you." He doesn't say he's here to investigate or to judge. He says he is here to assist you, as a physician might assist a patient with a terminal disease. He places the great book on the stool with reverence. "Do you know this book?" You shake your head. This is the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. It is a guide, a holy instrument for understanding the wiles of Satan and for striking down his servants on earth. He undoes the clasp, and the sound echoes in the small cell. He opens the book, its pages dense with Latin text. Learned men have studied these matters for centuries. They have debated the nature of your affliction. Let me illuminate you. He doesn't read directly from the book, but speaks its contents as if they are his own thoughts. The vulgar believe that a man can truly become a wolf. This is heresy. Only God can transmute his creations. No, the power of the devil is in illusion. He is the great deceiver. When you believe you are running with the pack, it is one of two things. Either the devil has bound your soul to a real wolf, making it an instrument of your malice, or more likely, he has cast a glamour. He makes your neighbors see a wolf, while your own pathetic body lies senseless in a ditch or in your bed, lost in a diabolical trance. He looks up from the book, his burning gaze pinning you to the wall. But here is the truth of it, the point of law and faith that condemns you. This illusion is not forced upon you. You ask for it. You consent to it. You make a pact. You reject your baptism. You kneel to the Father of lies and beg him for this power. Therefore, you are as guilty in the eyes of God as if you had torn the flesh of the child with your own teeth. Your crime is one of will. Your sin is in your soul. His logic is a perfect, inescapable trap. He has taken the one defense you might have, that it's impossible, and turned it into the very mechanism of your guilt. He now begins to question you, his voice soft, coaxing. Tell me of the pact. Did he appear to you as a handsome nobleman, or as the black goat of the Sabbath? The unguent the demon provides, does it smell of strange flowers, or only of brimstone and rendered fat? You stare at him, speechless. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. After the change, when the madness of the bloodlust passes and you feel your limbs returning to their human shape, is there not a great sickness, a trembling? The folk stories say the man-wolf is left naked and weak, that he must vomit up the hair and bones of his prey that his human stomach cannot abide. Is this not so? Tell me, where did you cast up the parts of the boy you could not digest? The question is so grotesque, so intimate in its horror. You feel a wave of nausea. I am a man. You choke out. I am just a man. Brother Heinrich straightens up, a look of profound disappointment on his face. It is not anger, but a sort of weary sadness. The beast has a strong grip on your tongue, he says softly. He closes the heavy book, the sound final and ominous. You force our hand. Your soul is mired in stubborn heresy. We cannot allow the devil to hold your voice captive. He turns to his acolyte. Inform the bailiff we will require the use of his deeper chambers, the ones with the rings in the wall. He looks back at you one last time. We do this not to punish you, but to free you. Pain, you see, can be a great purifier. It can break the devil's hold and allow the truth to escape. We must now put you to the question. There is no more waiting. The Inquisitor's words are followed by the sound of heavy bolts being drawn on a different door, one you hadn't noticed, a door that must lead deeper into the earth. 2 guards, not the village constables, but stone-faced men-at-arms, who must have traveled with the Inquisitor, enter your cell. They move with a grim purpose that makes your blood run cold. They say nothing. One hauls you to your feet by your arm while the other unbars the second door, revealing a narrow stone staircase spiraling down into blackness. You are pushed and pulled down the steps. The air grows instantly colder, heavy with the smell of wet stone, mold, and something else. A faint metallic scent, like old blood, and the lingering odor of fear itself. The only light comes from a single torch held by one of the guards, its flames throwing your distorted shadow against the curved wall as you descend. The world above is gone. There is only the damp chill, the echoing scrape of your bare feet on the stone, and the rhythmic, heavy breathing of the men forcing you toward the heart of this nightmare. The staircase opens into a low-ceilinged, vaulted chamber. This is not the simple fool's hole you've been kept in. This room has a function. It is a workshop, and the tools of its trade are all on display. On a long, rough-hewn table against the far wall, an array of iron instruments is laid out with chilling neatness, as if for a surgeon's inspection. You see the squat, powerful mechanism of a thumbscrew. You see a set of iron tongs and pokers resting near a brazier of coals that glows with a malevolent orange light. You see a cruel-looking metal boot, studded with interior screws, designed to slowly crush the foot and ankle into a pulp. And in the center of the room, hanging from a thick wooden beam above, is a single thick rope, threaded through a heavy iron pulley. Brother Heinrich is already here, standing beside a small lectern where his Malleus Maleficarum lies open. His face is serene, as if he were about to begin a sermon. Herr Schmidt, the magistrate, stands near the wall, his face a sickly shade of gray in the torchlight. He looks away when your eyes meet his. He is the witness, the representative of secular law, here to legitimize the proceedings. And in the corner, cloaked in shadow, stands a third figure, a man of immense size, his face hidden by a black hood. His arms, thick with muscle, are bare below the sleeves of his tunic. He is the Meister, the master of questions, the executioner, the torturer. The Inquisitor raises a hand, his voice calm and measured in the terrible silence. My child, we stand at a crossroads. One path leads to pain and degradation, the other to the gentle relief of confession. The choice is still yours. The devil has built a fortress of lies within your soul. See these instruments not as tools of punishment, but as the necessary cannons to breach those walls and set your spirit free. Confess your pact with the devil. Confess your lycanthropy. Spare your flesh this ordeal. His words are a twisted parody of mercy. He offers you an escape, but the only door is an admission of guilt for a crime that exists only in their minds. You try to speak, to make one last appeal to reason, but your throat is dry with terror. You can only manage to shake your head. Brother Heinrich lets out a long, theatrical sigh of disappointment. He gives a slight, almost imperceptible nod to the hooded giant. The master of questions steps forward. The guard sees you, pulling your rough shirt from your body, exposing your torso to the frigid air of the cellar. The shock of the cold is immediate, raising goosebumps all over your skin. The torturer moves behind you. He is surprisingly quick. He grabs your hands, forces them behind your back, and binds your wrists together with a length of coarse, thick rope. The knots are brutally tight, cutting off the feeling in your fingers almost immediately. The other end of the rope is tossed over the pulley on the ceiling. The two guards take hold of it, their knuckles white. As they prepare to pull, Brother Heinrich lifts his head and begins to chant, his voice filling the chamber not with threats, but with the holy words of the church, sung in Latin. He is reciting a psalm, his voice rising and falling in a sacred rhythm. It's a battle prayer, a torture psalm, turning this act of methodical cruelty into a sacred rite of exorcism. Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler and rise for my help. The guards pull. The rope creaks and strains. Your arms are wrenched violently upwards behind you, twisting your shoulders at an impossible angle. An explosion of white-hot pain erupts from your joints. Your feet lift from the cold stone floor. You are hanging, suspended by your bound wrists, every muscle in your back and shoulders screaming as they are torn. The weight of your own body becomes an instrument of agony, pulling your arms from their very sockets. You are a puppet on a string, and the pain is the only thing that feels real. Through the red haze of torment, you can hear the Inquisitor's prayer continuing its steady, relentless cadence. You can see the magistrate, his quill now poised over a sheet of parchment, ready to record any word, any scream that might be interpreted as a confession. The hooded master holds the rope, his grip firm, ready to add the devastating jerk and fall of the squassation to the ordeal. Brother Heinrich's voice cuts through the fog of your agony, no longer chanting, but speaking directly to you. The truth has a price, my son. The devil demands your silence, but God demands your voice. Are you ready to speak? Confess your pact. Confess to the wolf. Your world has collapsed into a single, blinding point of pain in your shoulders. It is a searing, tearing agony that blots out thought, memory, and identity. You are no longer a man from the village of Pechbach. You are a creature of pure sensation, an animal caught in a trap. Brother Heinrich's voice, calm and persistent, cuts through the red fog. Confess your pact. Confess to the wolf. He is offering you an exit, not from the room, not from your fate, but from this moment, from the pain. And in the face of such torment, any exit is a mercy. A single choked word tears itself from your throat, a word that will seal your doom and save your body. Yes. The word hangs in the cold air. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, the Inquisitor gives a slow, deliberate nod. The hooded master of questions skillfully eases the tension on the rope. You are lowered, not dropped, back to the stone floor. The relief is not gentle. It is a new form of agony. A wave of fire as blood, hot and stinging, rushes back into your mangled arms and shoulders. Your legs give way, and you crumple into a heap, your body trembling uncontrollably. One of the guards brings a ladle of water and presses it to your lips. You drink greedily, the cool liquid a shocking blessing. This is their method. Not to break you completely, but to shatter your will and then keep you just lucid enough to be of use. They drag you to the wall and prop you up. You slump there, your arms hanging useless and heavy at your sides, your chin on your chest. The scribe pulls the stool closer, dips his pen in the ink, and looks expectantly at the inquisitor. The physical ordeal is over, for now. The true performance is about to begin. Brother Heinrich steps forward, his role shifting from tormentor to director. He is no longer demanding a confession. He is helping you construct it. "Let us begin at the beginning," he says, his voice soothing, hypnotic. "The devil did not find you yesterday. He planted his seed long ago. You were a boy, were you not? Alone in the forest, full of resentment for those who mocked you. His words are a lifeline. He's giving you the story. All you have to do is agree." "Yes," you whisper, your voice a raw croak. "And he came to you there, a tall man, handsome, dressed in fine black clothes. He offered you a way to be feared, respected. He offered you the freedom of the beast." "A man in black," you echo, the images forming in your mind as you speak them. It's easier to invent than to resist. He promised they would never hurt me again. "And you made a pact with him," Heinrich prompts. "You renounced the Holy Father and your baptism." He pushes a small, sharp object into your hand, a stylus from the scribe's desk. "You wrote your name in his book with your own blood. Show us." He gestures to the floor. Trembling, you scratch a crude letter in the dust with the stylus. The scribe makes a note. The accused affirms he signed the devil's book in his own blood. The story grows, fed by the inquisitor's leading questions and your desperate answers. He asks how the change is accomplished. "The evil one gave you a gift, an unguent to call the wolf form." "A salve," you say, latching onto the word. "Yes, the salve. What is in it?" "The devil's arts mimic God's creation. He requires ingredients of power." You grasp for anything that sounds dark, forbidden. Anything you've ever heard whispered in a tavern or a cautionary tale. "Wolfsbane," you stammer. "And nightshade." "Good," Heinrich encourages, like a patient teacher. "But these are but herbs. His foul magic requires a greater sacrifice. Something of man, yes? The fat of an innocent, perhaps." The suggestion is so vile it almost makes you gag, but you see the eager, knowing look in his eyes. This is the answer he wants. This is the key that will keep the rope slack. "Yes," you whisper, the word tasting like poison. "The fat of an unbaptized babe." The scribe's pen flies across the parchment. You have just confessed to being not only a werewolf, but a desecrator of the dead, a monster who preys on infants for potion ingredients. Now he turns to your crimes. He lists them for you. The livestock that have vanished over the years. The shepherd who was found mauled 2 winters ago. The traveling merchant who disappeared on the road to Cologne. He presents each one as a statement. The flock of sheep from the monastery's farm. That was your doing for the devil's table. And you nod. The merchant on the road. You hunted him for sport. And you agree. You describe the thrill of the hunt, the feeling of power, the taste of forbidden things. You are creating a monster, and with every word, you become it. You have confessed to being a serial killer, a creature of pure malice. Satisfied that your personal damnation is well documented, Brother Heinrich presses for more. His gaze intensifies. But the Prince of Lies does not act alone. He builds armies. You are but one soldier in his legion of beasts. You are part of a pack, are you not? There are others like you in this very duchy. You gather in the deep woods for your own profane rituals, a court of wolves. Who is your master? Who is your king? Give us the names of your brethren. A new, sickening wave of cold washes over you, colder than the cellar floor. To invent your own monstrosity is one thing. But to name others? To pull innocent people, perhaps people you know, people you hate, people you love, into this fiction of pain and death. A final tiny spark of your true self rebels. You hesitate. Your mouth opens, but no names come out. Brother Heinrich's gentle demeanor vanishes in an instant. His eyes narrow. He glances over his shoulder at the hooded master of questions, then at the rope hanging from the ceiling. Your memory grows cloudy, he says, his voice once again like chips of ice. The devil shelters his own. Perhaps another application of the question is needed to refresh your recollection. The threat is absolute. The brief respite is over. Your confession has pleased them, but it is not yet complete. They will not stop until you have populated their fantasy, until you have built a whole world of monsters for them to destroy. The Inquisitor's threat is not just a repetition of the old one. He sees your ruined shoulders, the uselessness of the rope and pulley for now. His mind, so fertile in its cruelty, moves to a new device. He gestures to the darkest corner of the room, where something you hadn't noticed before is sitting under a dusty canvas sheet. The hooded master pulls the sheet away, revealing a squat, ugly construction of wood and iron. A four-legged stool with its seat planed to a sharp, pyramid-shaped point. That, Brother Heinrich says, his voice almost conversational, is called the Vigil, or the Judas Cradle. It is for the most stubborn. We would not hang you by your arms. We would hang you from above by a harness and lower you onto it, slowly. The point is designed to find the most tender, private places of a man's body. It does not break bones. It does not shed much blood. It merely stretches, tears, and holds one in a state of perfect, unending agony. Some men have sat upon the vigil for 40 hours. It ensures you do not sleep. It ensures you do nothing but contemplate the truth. Shall we see how well you can keep your secrets when you are balanced upon the point of a pyramid? The image he paints is so specific, so perversely intimate, that it shatters the last fragment of your will. The thought of that slow, piercing pressure is more terrifying than the blunt violence of the rope. Your resistance crumbles into dust. Names, you gasp out, the word a surrender. I will give you names. Brother Heinrich smiles, a thin, triumphant curve of his lips. I knew God would grant you clarity. He nods to the scribe who readies his pen. Who then? Who shares in your dark Sabbath? The names spill from your lips, broken and bitter. First, you name the ones who condemned you. Gunther, you whisper, the farmer, the wolf who soured his own cow's milk to cast blame on me, a petty, useless revenge that will only damn him. Franz, you say, the cooper's brother, he is the alpha. He leads the hunt. You give them the monsters they have already created in their minds, confirming their every suspicion. Your words are the grease on the gears of their machine. But Heinrich is not satisfied. A farmer and a woodsman? The devil's net is cast wider. Who else? A woman, perhaps? A midwife with her knowledge of herbs and births? A widow who lives alone and is not subject to a husband's authority? He is feeding you the archetypes of their fear, and so you name her. Old Greta, a stooped woman who lives at the edge of the village, who sells herbal remedies and is mocked by the children. You have just signed her death warrant because she is old and alone. The self-loathing that fills you is a physical sickness, worse than the pain in your shoulders. You have not only confessed to being a monster, you have become one, an instrument in their unholy purge. The Inquisitor seems pleased. He has his coven, he has his conspiracy. He dictates the names to the scribe with grim satisfaction. The case is now complete, a neat package of heresy, murder, and conspiracy, ready for public presentation. The scribe stands, clears his throat, and begins to read. In a clear, emotionless monotone, he recites the entirety of your confession. You listen as the story of your life is told back to you, twisted into a grotesque fable. You hear about your pact in the woods as a boy. You hear the fantastical recipe for the werewolf salve, with its litany of poisons and profanities. You hear yourself confessing to a dozen unsolved murders and disappearances, your supposed motives ranging from bloodlust to petty vengeance. You hear the tale of your spectral visit to the widow Elspeth. You hear the names of your supposed pack, Gunther, Franz, and old Greta, now immortalized as your demonic accomplices. It is the story of a demon, a fairy tale villain, and it is being read into the official record in your name. When the scribe finishes, he rolls the parchment scroll, leaving only the bottom empty. Herr Schmidt, the magistrate, steps forward, holding the ink pot. One of the guards grabs your right hand. He forces your thumb into the ink, coating it in black. Then he presses your thumb firmly onto the parchment. Your thumbprint, unique and undeniable, now sits on the page. Beside it, they force the stylus back into your numb fingers and guide your hand to scratch a clumsy X. Your confession is signed, sealed, and delivered. It is now truth. It is now history. With the document complete, the atmosphere in the chamber shifts. Brother Heinrich's work as an interrogator is done. Now his work as a showman begins. The serpent has been drawn from its hole, he proclaims. Now the people must see it. They must understand the nature of the evil that lived among them, so they may guard their own souls. He is no longer speaking to you, but to the magistrate. There will be a public pronouncement, an auto da fe, an act of faith. A stage must be built in the market square. All the villagers must attend. This is not for vengeance, but for the edification of the flock. They will hear this confession, and they will witness the righteous sentence of the Holy Church and the Duke's court. The trial you were awaiting is not a trial at all. It is a piece of theater, and you are its star attraction. Your guilt is not in question. It is the premise of the entire production. The guards haul you to your feet. The ordeal below is over. They drag you back up the spiral stairs, your legs barely working. You emerge from the stairwell into the bailiff's house, and the ordinary daylight filtering through a grimy window is so bright it's painful. You are not taken to the chamber of questions again. You are shoved back into the first cell, the cold, dark, familiar fool's hole. The heavy door booms shut. The bar clatters into place. You are alone again, back where you started. But everything has changed. Before, the darkness was filled with uncertainty and a desperate, flickering hope. Now, the darkness is absolute, heavy with the certainty of your fate. You are no longer an accused man fighting a lie. You are a confessed monster waiting for the fire, and you are not alone. The ghosts of Gunther and Franz and poor, harmless Greta are here with you. Their names a silent scream in the suffocating black. You spend another day in the blackness of the cell, but it is no longer silent. You can hear, muffled by the stone and earth, the sounds of activity from the market square. The rhythmic thud of hammers on wood, the shouts of men giving orders. They are building your stage. It is a strange and intimate horror, listening to the construction of the very platform upon which your life will be publicly dismantled. In the evening, the usual bowl of thin gruel arrives, but this time there is a piece of salted meat in it, and the bread is not stale. They are strengthening you. A farmer fattens a pig before the slaughter. A condemned man must be strong enough to properly endure his own destruction for the edification of the crowd. The next morning, the door to your cell is thrown open, and the bright, unforgiving light of day floods in. The guards pull you out, your muscles stiff, your mind numb. Your arms are bound, not behind you this time, but tightly in front, as if you are a penitent in prayer. You are led out of the bailiff's house and into the street, and the sunlight is so blinding you have to squeeze your eyes shut. When you open them, you see that they have brought the others. There is Gunther, the farmer, his face a mask of slack-jawed disbelief. He looks at you with a kind of pleading confusion, as if you, the author of his doom, might somehow explain it to him. There is Franz, the cooper's brother, whose earlier bluster has curdled into a snarling, terrified rage. He spits curses at the guards, at the sky, at you. And then there is old Greta. She is so small, so frail, her body lost in a coarse woolen shawl. She weeps without a sound, her body shaking, a sparrow caught in a net with wolves. They chain the four of you together at the neck, a short, shambling procession of the damned, and march you towards the market square. The scene that awaits you is one of grotesque festivity. It feels as though the entire world has come to Petschbach to witness your end. The square is packed with people, not just from the village, but from all the surrounding hamlets. They stand on barrels and climb onto roofs to get a better view. It is a holiday of death. In the center of the square is the stage you heard being built, a raw timber platform. Upon it sit 3 chairs, one for Herr Schmidt, looking solemn and important in his robes of office, one for the village priest, clutching a crucifix, and the center chair for Brother Heinrich, his face a calm beacon of righteous power. You and the others are herded onto a lower, smaller platform at the front of the stage, put on display like prize-winning livestock before the auction. The murmur of the crowd dies down as Herr Schmidt stands. He doesn't speak for long. He simply announces that the confession of the accused will be read aloud for all to hear. The young scribe, his voice now steady and clear with newfound importance, steps forward and unrolls the now familiar parchment. For the 3rd time, you listen to the story of your monstrous life. The crowd hangs on every word. They gasp when they hear the recipe for the diabolical salve. A low growl of anger ripples through them at the recitation of your supposed murders, when the scribe reads the names of Gunther, Franz, and Greta as your co-conspirators. Hundreds of eyes turn on them, burning with a mixture of hatred and fear. The fiction whispered in a cellar is now the gospel of the public square. When the reading is finished, Brother Heinrich rises. This is his victory lap. His voice, amplified by the rapt silence, booms across the square. He delivers a blistering sermon, not of mercy, but of holy war. He points a long, bony finger at you. "Behold the fruits of heresy," he thunders. "Behold the man who would turn his back on the grace of God to seek power in the filth of the devil's sty. Like the profane Judensau that shames the sacred walls of our cathedrals with its image of man consorting with the unclean beast, so too did this man seek union with the wolf. He rejected his human form, a gift from God, to embrace the base, the animal, the demonic. By using this powerful, ugly image, He connects your supposed crime to a symbol of otherness and profanity that is deeply ingrained in their minds. He transforms you from a sinful man into a walking defilement, a stain that must be scoured from the earth. Finally, after the sermon has whipped the crowd into a frenzy of righteous fury, Herr Schmidt stands one last time to deliver the sentence. The theater is over. Now comes the law. His voice is flat and formal as he declares all four of you guilty of murder, lycanthropy, and consorting with Satan. For these crimes against the laws of God and the decree of the Duke, he reads from a black-bordered scroll. The court sentences you, the condemned, to be taken from this place to the field of execution outside the village walls. There your flesh will first be torn in 3 places by red-hot pincers. Following this, your arms and your legs shall be broken with the iron wheel. Then, while life still remains in you, your bodies shall be committed to the purifying fire and burned to ash. These ashes shall be gathered and scattered upon the river, ensuring that no earthly vessel remains for your wicked souls, and no relic of your evil can ever pollute this land again. So says the law. So says the Duke. A roar of approval erupts from the crowd. It is a deep, guttural, joyous sound, the sound of fear finding its release in a promise of absolute annihilation. You look out at the sea of faces, men and women you have known your entire life, and see only elation in their eyes. They are celebrating your obliteration. Old Greta has collapsed, a heap of wool on the boards. Franz is screaming, a wild, incoherent string of curses. The guards move in, hauling you all to your feet. As you are led from the stage, the cheers of the crowd follow you. A wave of jubilant hatred that sounds like the very gates of hell opening to welcome your home. You are back in the familiar darkness of the Fool's Hole. It feels different this time, quieter. You are beyond the reach of the crowd now. The heavy oak door muffles their cheers, turning the sound of their jubilation into a dull, rhythmic thrum, like a distant heartbeat. They are having a festival in your honor, a celebration of your death. You lie back on the damp straw, the foul smell of which is now as familiar as the scent of pine needles from your forest life. The searing pain in your shoulders has subsided into a deep, throbbing ache, a permanent reminder of the lie you were forced to build. But the terror, the sharp, frantic terror that has been your constant companion, is gone. It has burned itself out. What's left is a vast, cold, and strangely peaceful emptiness. There is nothing more they can do to you. The worst has already been imagined, documented, and pronounced. All that is left is the performance. In the profound quiet of your last night on Earth, your mind begins to drift, untethered from hope or fear. You think about the village of Petschbach, about the people who will gleefully watch you burn tomorrow. You don't feel the hot rage you might have expected. Instead, you feel a strange, detached pity. You remember the past few years. The world has grown colder. This is a fact you know not from books, but from the marrow of your bones. You remember the winter 3 years ago that refused to end, that lingered deep into what should have been spring, killing the new lambs. You remember the last 2 summers, not hot and golden, but marked by endless, chilling rains that flattened the wheat and caused the strange, dark fungus to grow on the rye, making people sick with shaking fits and madness. You remember the pinched, hollow-eyed look on your neighbors' faces as they rationed their meager harvests, the constant, gnawing anxiety that there would not be enough to last until the next uncertain crop. This is the real monster that has been stalking them. Not a wolf in the woods, but the specter of starvation, the cold hand of a world that seems to be turning against them. Their fear of you, the werewolf, is just a mask they've placed over the face of this greater, more intractable dread. They cannot burn a long winter. They cannot put a failed harvest on the wheel, but they can burn you. Your execution is not about justice for a lost boy. It is a desperate sacrifice to a cruel and silent God, an attempt to appease the hostile world by purging the evil they believe is the cause of their suffering. You are not the reason for their fear. You are simply the vessel they have chosen to pour it into. A strange thought comes to you then. You've heard fragmented tales from traveling merchants about a bizarre custom in the distant lands of England and Wales. They spoke of a sin-eater, a wretched outcast who, for a small fee, would be summoned to a funeral. A loaf of bread and a bowl of ale would be passed over the body of the deceased and given to this man. By consuming the meal, he was believed to be consuming all the sins of the dead person, taking their damnation upon himself so that the soul could ascend to heaven, pure and untroubled. You realize with a sudden, chilling clarity that you have been made into a sin-eater for the living. The people of Pechbach, burdened by their own quiet sins, their petty envies, their adulterous thoughts, their cruelty to one another, their despair, have found a way to cleanse their entire community. They have taken every dark fear, every harvest failure, every sick child, every unspoken hatred, and they have piled it onto you. In the morning, they will watch you be tortured and burned, and they will feel clean. They will feel righteous. They are not executing a man. They are performing a ritual of mass exorcism with your body as the offering. Your mind drifts away from these grand, terrible ideas to smaller things. The feeling of cool moss under your fingertips, the specific earthy smell of the forest after a rainstorm, the way little Dieter had laughed just a month ago when he saw a squirrel drop a nut on the constable's head. You feel a profound wave of sorrow, but it's a sorrow for the world itself, for its capacity for such madness. The story they have written for you, the one you signed with your own thumbprint, is so monstrous, so completely alien to the simple reality of your life, that you feel detached from it. The man they will execute tomorrow is not you. It is a fictional character, a demon from a storybook. They can tear his flesh with pincers and break his bones on the wheel, but the real you, the quiet man who knew the names of the trees and the paths of the stars, is already gone. They cannot touch him. Through a crack in the door, you see the first faint, gray hint of dawn. Your last night is over. You hear the slow, heavy tread of the guards approaching down the hall. Their footsteps are final. This is it. You push yourself into a sitting position, your body aching, and wait. The fear does not return. There is only a weary, final resignation. You have become a legend before your own death. All that remains is to play your part one last time. The heavy door groans open one last time. The guards enter, their faces unreadable. They pull you to your feet and lead you out into the cool, gray morning. The air is still, and a low mist clings to the ground. The village square is mostly empty now. The path of your final walk leads away from the familiar center of town, out past the last cottages, towards a barren, fallow field that has been designated for today's ceremony. The crowd is already there, lining the path on both sides. They are different from the day before. The celebratory fervor has burned away, leaving behind a quieter, more intense mood of morbid anticipation. They don't shout. They don't throw things. They just watch you pass, their eyes wide, their faces a pale mixture of pity, fear, and a grim fascination. You are no longer their neighbor. You are a sacred spectacle, a living ghost on his way to his final reckoning. You see the others being led just ahead of you. Old Greta is being supported by 2 guards, her feet barely touching the ground. Gunther and Franz walk with the stiff, unnatural gait of men already dead, their eyes fixed on nothing. You arrive at the field of execution. The mist curls around the instruments of your demise, which stand waiting like a reception committee from hell. In the center of the field, a heavy wooden cartwheel has been mounted horizontally atop a thick, sturdy post. Beside it, a large brazier glows, the coals burning with a fierce, white-hot intensity. The hooded master of questions is tending to it, placing several long-handled iron pincers into the embers, and beyond the wheel, 4 pyres have been erected. 3 are simple wooden stakes, piled high with dry timber and straw for Greta, Gunther, and Franz. The 4th, your pyre, is larger, more elaborate, built around the stake that will display your severed head. It is a near-perfect echo of the fate of Peter Stump, the so-called Werewolf of Bedburg, whose own horrific execution has become a cautionary tale whispered across the empire. As the guards tie you to a post to await your turn, you scan the crowd one last time, and you see him. A man near the front, well-dressed, who is not caught up in the communal trance of the spectacle. He holds a small wooden board with a sheet of paper, and in his other hand, a stick of charcoal. He is sketching, his eyes flicking back and forth between you and his work. He is capturing the scene, the wheel, the pyre, your bound form. You realize you are looking at the artist for an execution broadsheet. In a week, a cheap pamphlet with a crude woodcut of this very scene will be sold in the marketplaces of Cologne and beyond. It will tell your story, or rather, the story they invented for you. It will describe your heinous crimes, your diabolical pact, and your righteous, brutal end. Your legend is already being packaged for mass consumption. Your turn comes. The guards untie you from the post and drag you to the wheel, forcing you down and stretching you over its convex surface, strapping your limbs to the thick wooden spokes. You have a clear view of the sky, gray and indifferent. Brother Heinrich steps forward and begins to recite the Latin prayers for the dead, his voice a steady drone against the unnatural silence of the crowd. The master of questions approaches, his hood shadowing his unseen face. He pulls a pincer from the brazier. It glows with a terrifying orange-white light. You hear the hiss before you feel the searing touch on your chest. The pain is immense, but your mind, now a fortress of detachment, observes it from a great distance. It is happening to the werewolf of Petschbach, the monster from the story. The crowd lets out a collective gasp, a sound of horror and relief. This is repeated twice more. Then the executioner sets aside the pincers and picks up a heavy iron bar. He works methodically, starting with your shins. The first blow is a dull, sickening thud, followed by a sound you feel more than hear, a wet crunch. Your consciousness begins to fray, the gray sky turning dark at the edges. Another blow falls on your arm. The world dissolves into flashes of pain and encroaching darkness. The last thing you hear is the Inquisitor's voice, rising in triumph as he makes the sign of the cross over your broken body. The last thing you see is the face of the artist, still sketching, capturing your final moments for posterity. Your name becomes a whisper in the dark. The story, printed on cheap paper and illustrated with your monstrous, wolf-like face, becomes a bestseller. It serves its purpose. The tale of the werewolf of Petschbach frightens children into obedience and reminds adults of the ever-present danger of the devil. In the village, the next harvest is bountiful. The rains are gentle, the sun is warm. The villagers see this as a sign that their actions were just, that your sacrifice appeased God and purged the land of its taint. Your death becomes the proof that you were guilty all along. You are no longer a man who lived and died, but a dark fable, a chilling story told around the fire, a shadow that lingers in the woods, a testament to a time when fear could wear a human face, and justice was just another word for a bonfire. And now, as the smoke from that distant historical fire begins to fade, let the story drift away. Let the darkness of that cold cellar and the grim light of the execution field dissolve into the soft, quiet darkness of your own room. Feel the weight of your body sinking comfortably into your mattress, the gentle pressure of the blankets around you. That world of fear and superstition is a ghost, a story on a page. The anxieties that drove those people, fear of starvation, of the unknown, of their neighbor, are echoes from a time long past. You are safe in your own time, in your own space. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you breathe out, let go of the tension of the narrative. Let go of the cold stone, the biting ropes, the angry crowd. Breathe in the calm of the present moment, and breathe out the last remnants of that ancient fear. These dark stories are not meant to haunt us, but to remind us. To remind us of the peace we so often take for granted, of the value of reason, of the simple, profound comfort of a safe place to sleep. So let your mind quiet down. Let the rhythm of your breathing be a soft, steady anchor in the gentle darkness. There are no monsters here. There is only the quiet of the night, the comfort of your bed, and the peaceful journey into your own dreams.